Dan Brown here, and we are at our September webinar. Can it be September already of 2024? My goodness. All right, well, this is going to be a very interactive and a quite different approach than we've done in the past, in that this webinar is more for you by you rather than for you by us. So, tell you a little bit more about that here in a second, but just want to check the chat. Great. We've got a whole slew of fantastic clients here. And whether you're a client of Blumberg Digital or not, you are absolutely welcome. This is our September webinar that is really something special and something different. My name's Dan Brown, and I'm not only the co-owner and COO of Blumberg Digital, but a lot of you know me as the Senior Service Consultant of MGE Management Experts. What we're going to be doing in this webinar is making sure that you know what current trends are working in today's market of dentistry and getting more new patients. Subject to marketing is a confusing subject. We all know that. We battle with it. What channel? What's the next channel? What's my third channel? What's my fourth channel? How do I know if these marketing channels are working? What sort of investment should I have in each of these channels? What kind of return can I expect in each of these channels? Lots of questions, and those are just to name a few. The reason we're here today is to get some marketing hacks, some basic marketing hacks. What are current marketing trends? Where are we going? And kind of exciting is this is going to be hosted in large part, of course, by us, but co-hosted by our clients, our winning, successful clients. Now, you're here participating, watching. This is going to be recorded. So if your team is not able to attend this, or if you're seeing this recording, well, you know that we record this, we make this available afterwards. My goal in this is to ensure that you feel comfortable with your next steps and that you're learning from other industry leaders. So without any further ado, we're going to get into it. I'm going to be the one to start it. I was just up at Salvatore Dental, and Kathleen, I think you're here. Good to see you. It was great time up there. Kathleen might not be speaking a bunch today. She speaks a lot here. I got some great stuff that I want to show you guys of what came from that visit and just some hacks that I think are interesting. We did some videos. Kathleen, Beth, thank you very much for that content. These were videos that were frequently asked questions that our clients have of our clients. What do you do on lead follow-up? And how do you choose the right marketing company? And how do you know if your marketing company is working? And what are some of the things you can do? One of the videos that Kathleen did was, how do you handle it on, when you have a crash collections day or week? How do you walk into that office with your head held high and not going into total panic mode? So we have gotten 3 or 4 videos from them of great tips. We'll make those videos known on our YouTube channel. I do suggest that all of you go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Maybe Britt or somebody here from Blumberg Digital can put that link in the chat. Go to that channel and subscribe. The content that we're coming up with, we're not monetizing that channel. We're not trying to, it's not a commercialized approach for us. This is a repository of fantastic content where we take client tips, our tips, what clients are doing that's successful, and sharing that on our YouTube channel. We also share it on our Facebook, on our Instagram, and on our TikTok. But the YouTube channel, we can put a bunch of longer content there. So we'll make sure that those videos are available. But what I wanted to show you is just some stuff that I just thought was just so cool. One thing is before and after photos. They have a whole library here. Oh, this is just cool. They have some of their MGE content. I love this, of when they got their certificates and they're on the wall with their power program completion certs. And it's all through the hallway. Love that. I just kind of love these because they're just cool. It's a very uptone environment. I'll tell you that. How many of you like it when it's uptone and that you're having fun at work? Raise your hand. It's so important. And one of the videos that Kathleen did was just so great. It was on how do you handle it when you got a crash collections day or week or whatever. And it was all around the idea of, it's so important for you to stay uptone and be that for your team. Plus, we know what happens when you go down the tone scale. Things don't get easier, they get harder. So they have certificates of achievement posted up, and just different things that, all of their staff have completed. And this is in their break room. I thought this was really cool. It's an acknowledgement of their team. Love that. They have a thermometer for their next reviews game and what that's for. They also have They're tracking their stats. They use DDS dashboard, but they have a team meeting in the morning that is just pretty awesome, where they really lay out what's going to happen for the day, where they are for the week. Great management skills there. Want you to enter in their DDS dashboard stats, and they got a picture of me. That was weird, but I liked it. Notice board, all the things, what's happening, a couple recent arrivals to some of the team members. Very spirited, very fun. And then that's the stats that they keep. They keep them on DDS dashboard, but they print them. This is so important. Make sure your stats are printed and on the wall so everybody can see what's happening. They keep their stats daily. Daily. Yes, I said daily. And look at the number of them. Kathleen, you want to tell me about how many stats you guys are keeping daily?
Yeah, so we go through a whole check sheet in the morning. It's over, I think it's like 85.
85
Or
stats.
close to, yeah.
And I want everybody to understand that they collect them, but all the staff can enter them into DDS dashboard. You want the team member to be responsible for their stats and update their stats. So good job there, team. Kathleen and Beth knocking it down. Couple other things I thought were just really cool. They got their org board up with their overall valuable final product of the organization, could otherwise be called a mission statement: comprehensive, healthy patients treated by a well-trained and expanding organization, making a positive difference in our community. Love that. They've even done videos about that. It's great for all new staff. They watch a video on that. A, R, and C, affinity, reality, and communication, up there right above the cabinets in the break room. No negativity. Love that. Negativity is not allowed. And then I saw this. In their consult room, they have before and after photos. Folks, let me tell you, a big part of what they do is all around the subject and idea of changing people's lives. And they have a whole catalog, and they have models and such, but I'm going to show you something that I thought was really cool. So it's all these before and after smiles that are really quite incredible. I mean, it's smile after smile after smile after smile. And they use different circumstances to communicate to different prospective patient, in cases and acceptance and such. But just take a look at this. It is fantastic. How many of you have a before and after gallery in a binder like this? Raise your hand. Okay, how many of you would think that would, it's a helpful tool? Raise your hand. Yeah. Now, I think it's an absolute requirement. Kathleen, can you just take a couple seconds and tell us how you use that and your testimonials on the iPad and stuff? Don't give your video away because, you did a great video, but tell a little bit on that if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. So typically what happens, especially with consults, is they go into a room, they meet with Dr. Rich, and then there's a period of time where we transition them to a front consult room. And during that time is when we go over before and afters and testimonials. We really like to make it so they're not sitting by themselves in that room. So if he's going to come up with a treatment plan, then he's telling us, hey, it's probably going to be full arch or it's going to be veneers. So Beth and I know what to go in and to go over. So we have 3 different before and after books. So we know which one to grab, and we spend that time to go over it. And then when Dr. Rich comes in, we swap out. He goes over things. And then immediately when he leaves, we swap back in. Nice. So we never really leave them alone, and they have time to go through all of that. And we have them flip the pages. And we use an iPad with testimonials, so they're right in their face and they're seeing them. But you have to know exactly what testimonials you have, and you should know them like the back of your hand. You know exactly what topic they're going to bring up. You know what photos have a story that would connect to that person. So you just have to be able to know your entire before and after catalog and your testimonial catalog to keep things running smooth.
Fantastic stuff. I'll tell you, I've seen this line, and Kathleen did a fantastic video with me on this. We'll make that available to you. Now, some of you go listen, I got all these before and after photos. They're amazing, but I can't find them. I can't, they're all on my phone. Raise your hand if that's you. Raise your hand if that's you. They're all on your phone, but you can't find them. Great. Check this tip out by Dr. Rich. Okay, how many of you have iPhones? Raise your hands. iPhones. Okay, and how many of you have Androids? Okay, whatever. Just having fun. But this works for iPhones and Androids. I'm sure it has as good or better of a function as this. So I'm going to show you this. Rich shared this with me. I asked if I could share this. He said, absolutely. It's an iPhone tool. Again, using our client's wisdom. Check it out.
Hey, Dan, it's Rich. Just want to show you this on my phone. So a lot of my time is searching for before and after pictures on my phone. And I got kind of sick of it. And I said, with AI and face recognition, I bet you there's a different way. So I didn't even look this up. I just figured it out. So you go to info, and then you go there's a picture of her face. You click on there, and then all photos, and literally pops up all the photos I've taken of her. So even when she didn't have a tooth back in February, they know that's her. And then here's today. Pretty crazy.
Oh my goodness. So everybody on an iPhone, pull out your iPhones right now. You can go search for photos, any recent photos with a family member or you or whatever. What I want you to do is open up your photos, find a photo, go to the eye at the bottom. I'm going to play it again. Watch this. Follow along as he does it. I want you to absolutely be able to find any face. So watch this.
Hey Dan, it's Rich. Just wanted to show you this on my phone. So a lot of my time is like searching for before and after pictures on my phone. And I got kind of sick of it. And I said, you know what, with AI and face recognition, I bet you there's a different way. So I didn't even look this up. I just figured it out. So you go to info, and then you go there's a picture of her face. You click on there, and then all photos, and literally pops up all the photos I've taken of her. So even when she didn't have a tooth back in February, they know that's her. And then here's today. Pretty crazy.
Okay, how many of you found it on your phone? Raise your hands. You found it. Isn't it cool? And then you can name that person. You can actually name that person and then search for that person. You can create a folder for that. You could add those photos into your before and after folders. So anyhow, have fun with that. But what we're here doing is we're trying to save you time and effort so you can stick with what you're good at. And what you're good at is dentistry. You're good at getting patients in the door and getting them through your sales line, right? The sales line as covered at the ABC Communication and Sales Seminars for MGE, running them through the sales line and making sure they get compassion, help, sincerity, help, care, help, and you're caring enough to make sure they go through that line. We want you spending time doing that, not wasting time going through your 7,000 photos. So hopefully that helps. Now, I'm going to tell you that Blumberg Digital, many of you know, and many of you are clients, and we really appreciate your being a client with us. You'll know that our approach came and it was born out of not the desire for me to start another endeavor. This was not how Blumberg Digital started. Blumberg Digital started because I was the marketing guy at MGE, and it was routinely coming up that people were using marketing companies and they weren't getting the expected and desired result. Now, no marketing company is perfect, including ours, but it was enough so that when I would refer out, we had a short list of preferred providers at MGE, that when I would send people out to these companies, things would go wrong and it would reflect poorly, not just back on me, but it would reflect poorly back on MGE. We did not have any financial connection to these companies, but because it was our referral, an experience gone bad reflected poorly on me and on MGE. So that was it. After 4 years of trying, had a preferred provider list of 12, went down to 10, went down to 8, went down to 6, went down to 2, went down to 1, and still running into issues. So we said, that's it. We teamed up to figure out who could help. Jeremy Blumberg, of all people, had just sold his company, internet marketing genius who rolls with all the top dogs in internet marketing, said, Jeremy, why don't we throw a company together and find some top providers that can really bring about the results? That's how Blumberg Digital started. In doing this, we didn't want to just be like everybody else. We really wanted to create a premier product that had premier levels of service. And I think all of you who are clients can agree that the team of Blumberg Digital, they can start waving here if they want. Blumberg Digital team waving. All the team members here are top team members. As such, we have top representatives for you in your account, and then we have top providers. This is only going the same direction. And in the past year, we made a decision. That's it. It's really time that we even step it up to the next level. Hence, we invited Britt to come join us. Britt was at a top leading company, a top position. We grabbed her up and said, Britt, we want you to lead the day-to-day of the operations of Blumberg Digital. She's done so and done so amazingly. There's also another individual that we added, and this is all part of our strategy, and you're going to see where this is going to go. Probably about mid next year, you're going to see where this is going to go. There was a time when I first got into this management system. This was back in, I got into the Hubbard management system back in 1991. I was 3 years old and I got my first job. Just kidding. I was 22 years old. And I really started getting into the system. And I was going to the conventions about the Hubbard management system. And one of the conventions I went to was this individual. And he was talking about, surveys and marketing. And I was very impressed. Fast forward to last year, I said, I really want to go to the next level. And Jeremy and I sat down and said, it's time to actually start going and really getting people who understand this and can take us to places that our clients really need us to go in every regard. As such, put out some communication lines, found a communication line, and Mr. Michael Bach responded and said, Mr. Michael Bach is now a team member of Blumberg Digital. But Michael actually started a company called survey.com. He was also the person who started MasterTech, the original management by stats program that MGE used, and many of you were still on. He was the guy who started that company and created that software program. He then went on to create survey.com, multi-million-dollar company servicing multi-million-dollar industries, literally had a top percentage of the Inc. 500 companies being serviced at any one time. He sold survey.com. He's basically semi-retired. He said, "Hey, what are you up to?" And I said, listen, I'd love to have you on board. He said, "Listen, we've always had a good communication line. I like what you do. You know me. So let's join forces." And we have joined forces. Today's going to be your first real introduction. Some of you know Michael Bach, and he's been around MGE, long time in the consulting arena, long time in marketing, certainly surveys, created survey.com, but he's going to give you a little piece of technology today, and he's going to be interviewing some of the clients. So without any further ado, Mr. Michael Bach, are you with us? And
I am with you, Dan. Thank you for the introduction.
Yeah, good.
I would hate to point out the falsehoods of your conversation, but you were not 3.
I was not 3.
Dan.
Yeah,
you were, because if you were 3, I was 7
right.
at the time. So Dan and I have known each other a long time. And thank you so much, Dan, for that great introduction. Hey, folks, I'm here to talk to you today and highlight a few of our incredible clients who have agreed to come on board. And before I do that, I'm going to be talking a lot about dental marketing from a more of a holistic point of view, not just our services, not just postcards, but a more holistic view. And in this area, we have created a new guide for you that can be downloaded after our talk today, just came out. So this is our guide. It is a Blumberg Digital dental marketing orientation guide. So this is a guide. Let's just go down to the first, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the real key part of this is it offers a clear and concise guide designed to help you and your team members understand the core keywords and basic concepts that form the foundation of effective dental marketing. So it's for you and for you to share with your team members. If you'd like to put it into your training manuals, we think that's a great idea. I'm going to show one more. It's not very long, but I want to focus on the definition of dental marketing as we see it. Dental marketing is the strategic process of attracting new patients from your local community while strengthening relationships with existing ones. You get that? So it's about attracting the new ones and keeping your existing ones. And then, Bert, if you could just go to the end, because this is really going to form the basis of my presentation today. So this is all about successful actions. We're going to talk to 3 incredible business leaders in dental marketing. They're going to share their tips and share with you some of their amazing successful actions. So with that, Britt will throw a link in the guide. You can download it. It's ready to go. We would love to have you on board. But before I bring on our guests, I just want to ask one thing. When you go to a doctor or a dentist or anywhere you go and you walk in and the receptionist welcomes you and looks at their schedule and says, "Oh, we don't have you on our schedule," right? Has that ever happened to somebody? Raise your hand if that's ever happened. A business, a restaurant, anything. That is part of marketing. You have walked into the restaurant and the staff don't know who you are and don't recognize you and don't do it, right? So it's more than just the outside actions you take and paid advertising. Marketing encompasses all aspects of running a practice. What does that mean? How clean it is outside. Have you ever gone somewhere and the parking lot is full and you can't park? That's marketing, right? So later in this presentation, I'm going to give you guys a little homework that you can do, and I'd like you to email me what happened. But with that said, hey, my team, I'm going to pull a little bit of an audible here. We're going to actually bring up Lily first, because I know she's got limited time. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet Lily Bernardini. Lily, come join us.
Hi, how you doing? I may be showing us Christopher. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, we know you're not Christopher. Thanks for joining us, Lily. We really appreciate you coming into us today. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and the practice you're representing today?
Yes, thank you, Michael. Okay, so I'm Liliana Bernardini. I've been managing my husband's business for quite a while, but I have to say nothing has been better since 2005 that I've been here. Nothing has been better than since 2022 that we joined NG and Blumberg.
That's fantastic.
So that's where we are. We are located in Staten Island, New York.
Okay.
It's not New York, it's Staten Island. I always have
Staten
to
That's
talk
right.
about this.
It's part of New York City.
It's
It's one of the boroughs, but it's its own unique environment.
unique for sure. Yes.
That's right.
Yes. So yes, we are here located. Chris, my Dr. Bernardini, he has been in practice for 42 years. Even though it's been 42 years, we were always like very small, very tight, we are very family oriented. But we were like really small.
That's right.
And after we joined, decided to work with Bloomberg, we just started to, it's the kind of a magic pill. We just started to grow. And it's been a lot of great information day after day. We get tips that are so important and today I can say are crucial in our life as a practice and as a team.
Fantastic.
So yes.
Lily, I'm going to ask you two questions principally. Can you give us an example? Because I talked about dental marketing being more than paid advertising.
Yes.
More about the team effort, everyone working together. Can you give us an example of one of those tips that we gave you that you got with your team and made a significant difference in your practice and how you did it? And I'm going to probe on this. So I want you to give us, dollars and cents, how it worked. So tell me one of those things that you did with your team.
Well, let's see. One of the first tips we got from Bloomberg was to implement the QR code to acquire reviews from our patients.
Right.
We brought it in. I talked to the girls and they immediately started to, they were a little hesitant. So then I showed them how to work and we got one review. Then it was like immediate push to, they started to use it. But what started to really create a more enthusiastic culture and dynamic as a team was implementing games.
Oh, can you tell us about one of the games that was really successful? Because we talk about that a lot, that getting the team involved in a game, making it everyone working together. Tell us about one of those games.
Okay, so we first started to like chips, right? The chips, like whoever gets 3 reviews today gets to pull out a chip and can be $20 or can be $100. So they were like, wow, this sounds like fun. So that was one game. Then we switched to a gift card. So whoever get the most reviews gonna get a gift card.
Right.
And I at times I started to throw it was like a monthly, right? Like the most reviews in a month.
Right.
Then we switched to something new, something quick. So the 5 reviews this week gets this other gift card. So the gift cards is funny because they really motivate the girls.
Right.
But eventually, and I started to make a basket, like really special baskets for our patients, right? So whoever the winner of the month is going to get this basket. But I saw the girls so enthusiastic with all of this that I started to create a basket for them.
Right. For the girls, the team.
Yeah, just for the girls. So this is a team basket. This is the patient's basket. It's just like the dynamics in the team really changed. The communication has increased from that. Wow. And it's like a little internal competition, but in a healthy and a fun way.
Right. Can you give everyone here, on a monthly basis, what would you say your estimate of the budget for this is? All in, the basket, the gift cards, everything.
Mhm. The baskets for our patients can rank $200.
Right?
For the girls, average 100. And if I
Okay.
decided to throw one little extra gift card in there, it's just
So
about
that's on a monthly basis. You might be spending $300 on this.
300, 400 the most.
Okay.
Yes, a month, yeah.
Give us the stats. What happened? It went from what? How many have you gotten in 1 month when the game is really killing?
We had gone from, like, even when we started, we used to have 60, it was like 63 reviews when we started with this.
Right.
We are in 568. And yes, the best month we had about 25 reviews in a month.
Fantastic.
And this is just, as I said, no, never mind. It was 43 reviews, the one that we got the most.
That is amazing. And as a result of that, when you track when people come in, are you seeing them saying, I saw your Google reviews, specifically talking about the reviews?
That is the first thing we ask on a phone call. That is the first thing, like, how do you hear from us?
Right.
And 90% of the patients are like, I read your reviews.
90%.
Yes,
of your
90%
new
of
patients.
our patients say.
That is fantastic.
Mhm.
That's just great. By the way, I see people asking questions. We want to encourage that, but we have 3 guests and we're just going to take those questions. Please ask them now. And at the end, we will do our best to answer those. So please, people, ask your questions. Okay, Lily, before I let you go, so we've talked about an internal thing. Can you talk about the combination of external paid marketing and then how that relates to getting new patients?
Mhm.
And is there one service that's really worked for you that has really gotten you and you've seen a result from it?
Yes,
Okay, what is that?
SEO.
SEO.
Yes.
And for those who don't know, that's search engine optimization.
Mhm.
And tell us when you started doing it and what you've seen as a result of that.
We started to implement the SEO in September 2022. It was everything. I mean, we had done SEO with 2 previous companies, and I have, like, there's no comparison between what we had before and what we have with Blumberg. It has brought us not just ranking higher in Google. As we rank higher, then people look more at you. But the quality of the content that has been implemented, directing more and generating more traffic, bringing obviously more higher calls and definitely new patients. Just to say something quickly, we used to, well, and we are very picky. I have to be honest. We are very, very picky in the patients that we convert to our patients, to our office,
Right.
for several reasons. But if I look back at before September 2022, sometimes we did get 0 patients in 1 month.
Right.
Sometimes 1.
And what are you doing now?
Now we can get between 15 to 30 new patients. And this is all thanks to the SEO and obviously our reviews. It's all hand by hand.
We appreciate that. And we appreciate your kind words about our great team and how hard they work. I do want to just bring in one point before I let you go. So when those leads come in, I would bet that they talk to a receptionist who's really good at her job, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And we want to be sure that everyone knows that that's also part of the marketing chain, right? And tell us a little bit about how you train your receptionist to make sure that new patient gets scheduled. Just a little bit about that.
We talk about, first of all, like the quality. I start with who we are.
Right.
Okay. And we are very warm office. And what I mean by warm is like that greeting has to sound real and warm. It's just the way we answer the phone is, hi, Michael. Thank you for calling Dr. Bernardini's office. This is Lily. How may I brighten your smile?
I love that.
It's not, we don't say, how can I help you?
That is so fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. Lily, I know you have to go.
It's okay.
But I really appreciate you spending time with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, please throw your questions in the chat for Lily. She will not be able to stick around, but thank you so much and have a fantastic day. And that feeling of your practice comes through in you. And that's what makes family practices so amazing for people out there. So thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much, Michael. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, folks. Lily's going to leave us now, and we're going to move on to our second guest. By the way, I just want to bring up that where Lily lives in Staten Island, the population density of Staten Island is 492,000 per square mile. We are now going to go to Abby Perry, who's going to join us. Hi, Abby.
Hi.
Thanks so much for joining me this morning and our great guests here. We know that Staten Island's population density is 492,000. I looked up your area, and your population density is about 2,000 per square mile. So let's talk about, introduce yourself. What's your practice name? Tell us a little bit about where you are.
Yeah, so my name is Abby Perry. I am a business manager here at Farmington Family Dental with Dr. Stephen Perry.
Okay.
We're out in Missouri, and we've been owners of this practice for about 4 years.
4 years. Okay, great. And you heard me earlier talk about marketing. I'm going to kind of go down the same line I went with Lily, which is I want to hear about something you do internally that really, maybe we told you about it, maybe you discovered it on your own, maybe just what are you doing inside the practice to help your dental marketing? That's all internal.
Yep. So something that we've been working on is creating a true team spirit, and kind of ironing out those lines of handoffs of patients, making sure that things are running smoothly and that everybody knows what everybody's doing. And it's actually really funny because we've been really hitting that hard for the last probably 2-3 months. And I've been reading our reviews, and a lot of them actually mention that now. So it's noticeable.
They actually mention the actual team spirit of your team.
Yes.
Wow, isn't that incredible? Now, I do want to just ask, because I know we did talk to you. I talked to you last week. You were telling me that your collections have exploded.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Whatever you feel comfortable sharing with our group, we would love to hear about that. How explosive have they been?
So just this year, we've gone from hitting about 200. We just had our highest month in July of 450. But I would say on average, we're hitting about 350. So we're kind of almost in that double range.
And that is unbelievable. Where was it last year?
That is an excellent question. I don't know if I know that off the top of my head. I would
Rough.
say it was about 200 a month for last year, maybe 220 as an average. Yep.
So talk about this team and how you have done such a great job that it's coming up in reviews, that people are actually mentioning the spirit and quality of your team. What have you done?
We share wins every morning. We've always got games going on. Some of the best games have been very spontaneous, just while we've been chatting with a group of the staff. And
give me an example of a game that did great that came up when you're chatting with your staff. And we're gonna share this with everybody.
Yeah, I was checking in with front desk, and we have a router who helps patients check out and make sure they get everything that they're supposed to before they leave. And she was like, "Oh man, I love food, I love pizza." And I was like, "Well, hey, you want a pizza party?" Because we hadn't really had that in our culture before, and we were trying to. So I was like, "Hey, let's do a pizza party. Let's hit this many reviews in a week, and we'll totally do that on the house, I don't know, and we'll do lunch together."
Okay, and did everyone? So one at some of the receptions said it, and everyone caught the spirit of that game.
Everybody in the front desk was like, "Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds so fun."
And I mean, what happened when you found the game that everyone wanted? Tell me about what happened with the staff. What went on that made it so successful?
Yeah. So, everybody was asking, patients for reviews, and they were playful bantering, right? Back and forth. They're like, "Oh, you already got that patient. That's okay. I'll get the next one," or I don't know. Just, it was a lot more playful and enjoyable.
Right. That's incredible. And then everyone went nuts. They won the game.
Yes. And we had a couple hours left of the day. So I was
Yeah.
up in the front desk area again, and I was like, hey, like, we've got like 2-3 hours left. If you hit another 5, like, let's do ice cream too. I was like, might as well, we got enough patients in the office, and they totally hit it. So we did pizza and ice cream.
So the staff had pizza and ice cream.
Yeah.
And you got lots and lots of reviews. And what would you say that whole game cost you? All in
Tops.
500, including the time they ate their pizza.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's absolutely fantastic. And in the guide, we talk about when you have a successful action to document it and write it down so that you don't forget it and it keeps happening. Is that something you've done?
I hadn't until we were speaking earlier. But now it is written down and it's emailed to my office manager and it's official. But still, yeah. So definitely want to write it down, try to re-implement it. But it even works, even if you don't.
That's right. Well, I'm very happy you took my advice and wrote it down and were very honest with me that you had not done that. But that is in our new guide. If people want to see it, it's one of the last pages of our guide. All right. So again, I'm going to ask you, with the end of the year coming, what are you doing to make sure that incredible revenue sticks around for the last quarter of the year? And tell us what you're doing internally, externally to make that happen.
Absolutely. We just did a campaign for our reactivation, and that it was a use it or lose it for insurance benefits. We all know too often we get a bunch of phone calls in December. Our office is booked out a month, so it's too late at that point. So we're doing everything we can to kind of let patients know now is the time to start reaching out about it. And we're just trying to keep up the spirit of play through the end of the year. Sometimes it's really easy to kind of get in the rut of things, So just keeping everybody moving in.
And that use it or lose it, you're running with, how are you doing that exactly?
Through our reactivation campaign, through events, through Blumberg.
Blumberg Digital.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And is this something you've run before, or is this the first year you're doing it?
We started it, actually, I don't even remember. I think it was earlier this year, maybe like last year.
No, the use it or lose it campaign. Have you tried that before?
We have tried it before, and we've done it through like existing patients, but we never have applied it to patients who might have not been in this year. So they easily fall off the radar and stuff like that. So trying to get them to make sure they use those.
So this is part of marketing as a way of attracting new customers and getting the most out of your existing customers. So this is kind of dormant customer marketing, right?
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
you already got them in. So you did the first part, and now you're just going back and making sure they're still around.
Yeah. And if I can add to that, we really talk a lot about caring for our patients. And if they're going to come here as a new patient and we talk about how much we want them to be healthy, like I would be remiss if I didn't stand by that.
That's
and reach out to them and say, hey, like it's been a while since we've seen you. We want you to come back in so we can keep you healthy.
Well, I will say that the spirit of your practice comes through in every word you say. Tell us a little bit about the qualities you're trying to portray with your practice. Like what are you trying to communicate to your new and existing patients about your practice?
Yeah, we're trying to communicate that dentistry doesn't have to be scary, but that we're here to help them, that we're here to care. Nobody's going to sit there and talk in Walmart about your oral health, That's right. So we're here for that. We own that, and we want to take it, we want to own that responsibility, but we want to have fun while doing it. And it doesn't have to be scary. It can be fun. That
is great. And you are going to hang out with us through the end and answer some questions if people have them.
Yes.
Right. Well, thank you so much.
Okay.
I have one more incredible speaker to get to. And thank you for taking my advice and doing that. I appreciate it. And by the way, this consultation I had with you, would you say it was relatively painless?
It was fantastic.
Okay.
It was great.
Thank you so much, Abby. We'll bring you back when it's time. And we have our last special guest who is going to join us from a very different part of the country. Hi, Jen.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
I think they're all great. They're all excited to hear from you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
As I asked the other amazing guests, can you tell us your name, what you do, and the name of your practice?
Yep. So my name is Jennifer Scirocco. I am the office manager for Dr. David Janino. We're up in Lunenburg, Mass. I am the office manager. I have worked for him for almost 29 years now. but have been the office manager for the last 15.
That's fantastic. And just so the folks know, this would be a suburban area of
Yes.
Greater Boston.
Correct.
Your population density is 444 per square mile. It must be gorgeous up there, because you're only, what, about 45 minutes from Boston, something like that?
Without traffic, about an hour.
Without traffic. So with traffic, 3 days, basically.
Yes, pretty much. A couple hours, two and a half.
My wife and I lived in downtown Boston for a while, and we loved it, but we never left the city proper because we just didn't have the time in our years to do that.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about your practice. How long has it been there? Let's start with what are you trying to portray in your practice? Well, I'll reverse the order of the questions for you. So tell me about the practice, what you're trying to portray, a little bit about the doctor and his philosophy. Give us a little bit of a background there.
So he has owned the practice for over 33 years now.
Okay.
And we are a general dental practice that practices comprehensive dentistry. So we take a really big approach on what happens in the mouth, happens in the body, or affects the body. We don't shy away from telling our patients everything that we find. You know, if he finds something, you're informed about it. Whether or not you want to know about it or not, that's a different story, but it's our obligation to tell you as the dental professionals what it is that you have going on in your body.
Without violating HIPAA, give me a hard-hitting example of when you've done that and what happened with your patient.
So couple of years back, we had a patient come in and she had been struggling. Her mouth was failing. She did not want to have dentures. Doc was kind of struggling with the dollar amount that he was going to present with her. And he said to me, like, what am I supposed to do with this case? Like, this is an uncomfortable number for me. And I said to him, well, what would you do if it was your mouth? And he said, well, that's all I'm going to do. And he presented the treatment plan to her and her husband, and they paid in full. And she was so appreciative and thanked him for like taking that time to save her teeth, that she didn't have to have anything that was removable.
Wow. And do you talk about the health risks of not
100%
doing dental work?
100%. We actually have the download from Blumberg Digital on the correlation, and we send that to our patients.
You just send it right out to them.
100%. Yep.
That's fantastic. Hey, Britt, just because some people here may not know about that guide, we're talking about a guide that Britt is going to throw a link into the chat. This is, I can't remember the exact words for it. I think it's the
Patient Guide to Oral Health.
Patient Guide to Oral Health. It's an incredible tool to help you sell and make sure your patients get the exact care that they need. And how do you bring the team into this? Like, do you talk to the team about this approach? You know, we're all going to do this together. Give us an example of how you actually do that with your team.
So every Monday, I read out the mission statement. It is on the wall in the reception area, but I physically read it out. And that's kind of how we start our weekly meeting. Like, why?
Can you read us your mission statement? We'd love to hear it.
I can. Give me 1 second just so that I don't butcher it from memory.
No, I mean, we'd love to hear your mission statement because it's a successful action, obviously. And I want you to share it, if you don't mind, with the group.
Not at all.
You got it?
I do. So
Okay.
The goal of the practice is to create the premier and most successful expanding dental practice in North Central Massachusetts by providing the highest quality of clinical dentistry possible in a warm, welcoming, and friendly environment. The purpose is to help our patients live longer, healthier, happier lives by providing evidence-based education that leads to the highest quality of dental services and prevention, provide the latest and most clinically optimum dental treatments and technology to our patients. And then he goes into further like why we're here as a team. And the reason for that is to create a productive, career-minded working environment that encourages advancement through study and thirst for knowledge and leads to rewards based upon active, productive contributions and practice solvency.
That is a beautiful, I mean, I want to go there. I mean, you're quite a ways from where I live, but I love that. And I love the fact that part of that is the productivity of your team members, right? Because productive team members, patients see that when they walk in, happy team members. I'm sure you've had times in your practice where there's just been musical chairs of people changing. What happened to that one? What happened? You don't want to answer those questions. You want to have the same person there year after year after year and provide stability. Well, that is absolutely incredible. And we thank you for sharing that. Let's talk about something. How are you working with, advertising, which for those, advertising is a subset of marketing. Advertising simply means, I'm just defining it for everybody. Advertising is paid right? It's something you pay for. It could be postcards, it could be advertisements, it could be billboards, etc. But let's talk about when you're investing your money into paid advertising, and is it working, and how do you make sure it works on your end?
So for us in our practice, I have a wonderful team member, Nelson, who's on this Zoom. And
Okay.
his sole job is our marketing coordinator, new patient coordinator marketing. And he looks at everything. How do
Good.
patients, how are they finding out about us? What is our return on investment for the marketing that we're doing? Where do we need to train additional staff to improve the quality of the call so that we are getting that conversion?
Right.
And it really is looking at what's working and what's not. You can't go to the end of a month or end of a quarter, end of a year and say, well, that didn't work, I should have changed it. You need to be paying attention to it all the time.
That's fantastic. Give us an example of something that's working where you're investing money.
Definitely the paid ads, 100%. That definitely works. This might be a little bit off tangent from a new patient standpoint, but doing reactivation. We work with Blumberg Digital for digital reactivation. We're getting patients back that we haven't seen in 10 years.
Wow.
So, technically, are they a new patient? No, but if you've got them returning after that amount of time, we have to treat them as a new patient.
That's right.
Reestablished and things. And it's a good opportunity to figure out, why did they leave us?
Right.
Don't be afraid to ask that question so that it helps us grow and improve. And sometimes they still considered us their dentist. They just hadn't gone anywhere else.
That's right. You just hadn't communicated with them in a way. We spoke in our conversation last week about making sure there's always somebody available. So you're investing in money. When you said paid ads, you mean Google paid ads, right? Is that what you meant?
Yep.
Great. And we appreciate you being our client. But we talked about that it's a team effort between your Google Ads team, us, and your internal people. Because what we have seen is that if we don't ask about the front desk, our services will not be valued and they will not produce the return on investment. So tell everyone here a little bit about how you make sure that those calls that you've paid for are always handled professionally. How you train your staff, how many people are involved, how do you cover all day?
We do close for lunch like everybody else for an hour. And that was always a problem. Like, how do we get that phone manned during that hour, which ended up to be me.
Right.
But I like to eat too on occasion. So that wasn't working so well for me.
And you should eat. You deserve it.
Exactly. So we actually have one day a week, there's an administrative staff member that they just take their lunch an hour before everybody else.
Okay.
The set day of the week, everyone is assigned a day. And then that way there's no hemming or hawing or kind of figuring it out. It's a done deal. And then if somebody happens to be out that they're sick or something like that, then either I cover the phone or my junior office manager covers the phone for that hour.
Okay, great. And how do you make sure that's amazing? So it's a team effort. Everyone eats an hour early. But they know they're going to do that. It's well established in their protocols. They understand why it's important. How do you train them? What's the training they go through to answer that phone the way you want, so that when that paid advertisement results in an inquiry or a call, that it's going to be handled correctly? Take us through that a little bit.
So it's definitely a lot of training through DDS success videos.
Okay.
Doing that, listening to an established staff member that has been doing it and doing it successfully. So it's kind of a phase 1, phase 2. Let them see how it's being done before you hand it off. Being right there with them as they're taking their first calls. Don't abandon them. Kind of have somebody with them.
And then drill them? Do you
100%.
Okay,
100%.
good.
Yep.
And you're confident. Like if you're on vacation next week, which I'm not saying you're going to be, but if you were out of the office. I'm not either. I'm going to be in the office next week as well. So don't feel bad for either of us. But that phone is going to be handled professionally and the way your incredible doctor wants it to be handled.
Yes, 100,000%.
That is fantastic.
And doctor actually drills with them himself.
Doctor does.
That's wants them to have his reality on it.
We love to hear that. I always talk about that the doctor is the star of the show. And the more involved they are, the better. The more the doctor shows their personality, the better. Right? In a world of corporate dentists where you have no idea who you're going to see, it's nice to know there are family dentists out there who care. That mission statement is inspiring. Hopefully it's inspired some of our guests here today. And I understand you can stay with us through the question and answer period. Yes. Is that correct?
Correct.
Well, again, I want to thank you so much for that. Britt, before we hit the Q&A, I just want to give our attendees a quick assignment. Thank you, Jen. We'll be back to you in just a minute.
You're welcome.
So, ladies and gentlemen, before I end off, you've heard a lot of different things about internal marketing. What I'd like each of you to do over the next few days, and please email me. Britt is going to include my email and contact information in chat. I want you to go around your practice, outside, inside, observe your staff, and find something that you can improve that's part of marketing. And it could be as simple as, I don't like that the front yard is not clean, because all of this will affect you. I don't like the way it looks behind the front desk. I think this area could be cleaner, right? These are very simple things. If you want to do it, obviously, I can't give you homework, but the idea is that I'm looking for things that you can do on your own based on a fuller understanding of dental marketing. And with that, my section of this has come to an end, and I think we're going to turn it back to Dan Brown.
Great.
The 3-year-old I met in 1993. I'm not sure that was true, Dan.
Yeah, well, listen, I'll tell you, I'm glad to have Michael on board. What do you all think about the section we just did? Thumbs up, medium, or down? What do you think? Okay, good. So here is your assignment immediately. Right now, what else do you want to hear about? What else do you want us to cover from other clients? Put that in the chat now. What do you want us to spotlight? Who do you want us to interview? What topics do you want us to take up? This is for you. This isn't for us. What would you like to hear about? Who's doing this successfully? How are they handling that? We're going to take up your questions. I love what everybody covered here, and I really appreciate everybody's input. I do want to make this mention that Michael is a seasoned professional, and I'll just be very frank about this right now. I will sit down with Michael, and I will get consulting advice on my businesses. Literally happened last week. If you want to set up time with Michael, and you want to make sure that you have the opportunity to take a look at your practice broadly. He's not going to be your MGE consultant. This is about marketing and this is about Blumberg Digital. But if you just say, listen, I just need help. I would love to have a chance to sit down and chat. He's got a busy schedule, but he's fantastic. So again, we'll make sure that Britt has put that in there. Book a meeting with Michael. Go ahead and click that link in the chat. For those of you watching online, we'll get a QR code for all of these links and everything to make sure that those QR codes take you exactly to where you need to go. But make sure that you take advantage of that opportunity. First in, gets there first. So there's that. Now, some great questions that came up. How much budgeting should I be allotting for a semi-startup? Very interesting. Startups, man, it depends. There's a lot of, semi-startup means it might have been a practice that was sitting docile for a while and you came in and take over, or it was just a practice, kind of a going nowhere practice. Your marketing budget, typically for any business, depending on, of course, margins and such. But in dentistry, you're going to have a marketing budget. Dentistry used to be 10% prior to COVID. 10% prior to COVID. Guess what it is today? 12 to 15%. Now, we have some big offices here. You're not going to be hitting those kind of percentiles. We've got, the Smiles Group with Amy and Sharon. You guys are, multi-million-dollar year corporations, each of your practices. You've got buying power and such. So your percentage are going to be a little bit different. Salvatore Dental, you're here. All of you guys that are doing, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a month. Yeah, we're not talking about the 15%. But I will tell you this, we do have one practice owner who is in a very competitive environment up in Manhattan. And while Manhattan sounds expensive just by zip code, and it is, this client's kind of in the armpit of New York City. His typical patient is blue collar. They are the trash collectors, the Uber drivers, etc. Does about $1 million a month. And his marketing percentage is 12%. Do the numbers on that. Marketing is dependent upon a lot of different factors. Again, Michael can sit down with you and kind of look at you where you're at. Startup's going to be a bit, it's going to be a bit more because you're not producing very much. So your percentage is a bit crazy and out of whack. Doesn't mean you have that money. So what we'll do is we'll strategize with you. What do you have? What would be the best way to, skin this cat so that we could make sure that you don't have a burning ulcer that doesn't help anybody and you can sleep at night, but you're still being as aggressive as you can. Great question. Next one. How to add consequences of not doing certain treatments? That's an interesting question. I don't want to get into clinical so much, but I will tell you this. Explaining consequences to an individual is dependent upon a lot of things, including tone level. So a conservative person is looking for the facts. A fearful person needs to be told of what they should be afraid of as a consequence. An angry person, you're angry and upset that their insurance isn't covering it also. Gosh, you just don't want them to be back here spending X amount more as a waste of money, because who's got money to waste? So it's how you present it, and that's covered in Seminar B, which is coming up next month. Okay, good. Getting patients to feel comfortable doing video testimonials. Oh my gosh, this is so important. And Kathleen, didn't we just do a video on that? So we'll be releasing that on our YouTube channel. Britt, if you wouldn't mind putting our YouTube channel in the chat, just so people can subscribe. You got to see this. This was fantastic. Kathleen, thank you very much for your tips on that. If reactivating patients aren't scheduling appointments as often as projected, should we start to market more for new patients? Yes, you should do both anyhow. You should reactivate to existing patients, and you should be hitting your new patients. If your reactivation is not working, certainly try our digital reactivation, but don't just sit on the digital reactivation. Use manual reactivation methods. Of course, it takes more personnel, takes some people, right? Because you're sending hard copy letters, you're calling, you're leaving voicemails, you're doing emails and such. So I would definitely be doing both. Great question. How are you guys going about communications between your practice and the patient? For example, how many times do you reach out to get them to confirm? And how many times do you call or reach out to get the patient to reschedule a broken appointment? We're going to get some guests to talk on that. I have answers for you on that, but I want some of our guests to take that up. So we'll take that in the next webinar. Maybe we'll even do a little video on that one. Another question from attendees: following through on leads. And is there a time limit? How can I approach new patient leads that have sat for too long, months or years? Or is there an expiration leads? How long is too long? What a great question. Absolutely no limit. Abigail jumped in. I love that. Thank you, Abby. Just call them up and ask if they found a dentist that they're happy with and if you can help them out with anything. It's so true. You can't follow up enough. And Beth from Salvatore Dental just did a video on that. Their typical approach to following up leads. We'll publish that on our YouTube channel. Great one. A couple other things. I want to get back to this point on training. Well, actually, before we take up the training, somebody asked a question: what should that gift basket look like for reviews? I'm going to show you something. This is so very cool. All right, got to put a slide on the screen. When people walk in, they could see a basket that looks like this. This was, of course, taken with Premier Smile Dental. That's one of our clients in Fort Lauderdale. Went out there after the COVID shutdown. MGE wasn't seeing people in-house, so we were going out. I walked in and I saw this. And there was a sexy basket there with an Amazon gift card, with Lindt chocolates, Lowe's card, thank you, an electric toothbrush, and then sanitizer and a 4-pack of toilet paper. Y'all remember that, right? That was like the most valuable thing in that basket, wasn't it? 4-pack of toilet paper. So there it was. And then a big sign on there: ask how you can win me. Okay, good. And then people say, well, how do you get that basket? How do you win that basket? And they say, well, we just pull a name out of this jar every 2 weeks. Oh, how do you get your name in the jar? Oh, well, if you had a good experience, you can leave us a review. We can verify the review, and then we put your name in the basket, or that jar. Let me click it. That jar. Oh, okay, good. What if I leave a review on Google and on Yelp or on Facebook? Yeah, good. We'll put your name in there 3 times. And not that that's why you're doing it, but just something to help patients know about us, because apparently today reviews are a big deal, and the patient will probably say they are a big deal. Oh my gosh, I read all your reviews, or I read your reviews too. So the basket, quick tip here on this: the basket, don't give the basket away. Put the contents in a bag, hand the bag out, and then keep the basket. The basket's probably one of the most expensive things in there. Another quick tip here. This is interesting, and I would highly suggest you consider this. What do you put in that basket? Well, you get creative about that. I would go around to my local businesses. You got a local chocolatier or a baker, or you got a shop that makes novelty soaps and another one that does this and fragrances and stuff like that. Get them to co-sponsor it, meaning you're just paying costs of whatever it is, or they just gift it and you put their business card in there. We're supporting local businesses, nice sampler from some local businesses, and just make that thing juicy. Just make it absolutely dead sexy. Have fun with it. Make it community. Support local businesses. Thumbs up if you all understand what I'm talking about. Good, just like that. Another question came in: how do you get those QR codes? Okay. Good. Yeah, QR codes are interesting. I understand that. QR code monkey is a great one. If you need a QR code for your Google review, this one is specific. I'm going to put that one in there. It's www.mygoogleqrcode.com. And that one gets you your Google, very specific. It's tied into the Google database. Google's always updating it. They just broke it, or they just changed it 2 weeks ago and it broke our page. I just had to spend, another $1,000 to get the page reprogrammed. So there you go. And reach out to Amy if you need some help. Amy just picked up there. We're going to have more tips on that one. Great. And then I'm going to get back to this question on training. How often should you train? Is there anybody here who could volunteer a little bit on when they do their training, how they do their training? I see your beautiful faces here. Raise your hand if you got some tips on staff training and how you do it, when you do it, how often you do it. I know we're over our 1 hour time. This is kind of
Abby is raising her hand.
Okay, Abby, go ahead, kick in. What you got on staff training? When do you do it? How much do you do it? Who does it?
When we have a new person coming in for reception, we'll have the receptionist do the bulk of the training. They'll kind of shadow, and then they'll be shadowed, and then the receptionist moves to the spot that they're moving. Now, if the receptionist left or something, we'll have a manager that comes in and trains them, and we train all the time. So if I notice something's out, if I hear something, I'll just usually pull them aside if there's time right then, and I'll be like, hey, this is actually how we do it. If we have a written policy, I refer them to that. It's just a continual ongoing thing. I always tell our employees, hey, if you're hearing feedback from me, it's because I care, because I want you to do the best, possible. So all the time.
Beautiful. I'm going to make a couple suggestions for you folks. First of all, start recording everything. The new iPhone just came out. If you're going to get the new iPhone, how many of you are going to get the new iPhone? Raise your hand. Of course, I have to. I run a marketing company. Gives me an excuse, get another gadget. Everybody knows me. I'm a gadget master. I'm going to keep my old phone. That would be, in your case, your practice phone. That's the practice phone. And you could take the SIM card out. You don't need a SIM card for it. Use that phone, back it up to some cloud, automatic cloud recovery. I use iCloud because it's an iPhone. If you got an Android, use Google Drive. So it's always backing up so that if the phone grows legs, right, and walks out of the practice somehow, right, you still got your files. Record everything. You sit down, you record the new receptionist, record the person who's doing the training, not just the receptionist, but the person doing the training. Record that. That receptionist may do fantastic, and we promote that receptionist. And now we got to train a new receptionist. That receptionist might not do so well, and you might have a new person there next week. You could use these recorded videos as a tool to buy time. For those of you on DDS Dashboard, you heard my announcement. We're creating Dental AI, where you can take the recorded video, drag it into Dental AI and Dashboard, and it'll absolutely create a transcript of that. It'll create a check sheet, a policy, and a quiz, but we need the content. We're coming with that. That's sexy. It's coming. Going to have it in about 2 months. But you got to have the recorded content. So record everything. Thumbs up if you agree, understand, and will do. Thank you. Good. Hey, Amy.
Amy Eveland.
There you are. So just so you all know, Amy is also a bit of a celebrity. Literally the first office I ever visited when I took up with MGE, went out there. These guys have not only taken their main practice, or otherwise known as the Beast, the main practice, they have picked up 5 other practices and boomed these practices, and they do so while they yawn. Okay. So Amy, some tips on training, and from a viewpoint, I know you have a full training facility now, and you probably got a dental assistant school and all that, but maybe some things that the everyday average practice owner and office manager might appreciate.
I don't know about the yawn part, Dan.
Fair enough.
But our biggest training starts straight from hiring, and I'll do a shameless plug that we're doing a Zoom on hiring. So there's that.
Beautiful.
But we
Stop for a second, Amy. Amy, this is important that people actually understand about the ACEs. Could you please brief people a little bit about that as this amazing resource? The meeting that you guys did this last month blew my mind. So would you talk a little bit on that, please?
I would be happy to. So the ACEs is basically MGE clients. It's a group that Louis put together that's, exclusive to MGE Power Program, not even graduates. You just have to be on the Power Program. We all get together once a month for a Zoom specifically with Louis, and he always has a guest speaker. This upcoming October is Rushi. I mean, you guys see him in the sales seminar, so he's going to be our guest speaker. And I spoke about the hiring Zoom that we're doing. This was a part of a game that we play. So you get a lot of wins and we play a lot of games. You get a ton of specifically the Bergen Girls content. So you get to see our real life. And I mean, even just how we do our training, we have videos coming out, or we have had 2 videos coming out of Amy M doing barriers on the sales line. And we're supposed to film 2 more today. But those just some little things that you get just being a part of the ACEs. We have a WhatsApp group that everyone, we share wins on. Louis puts LRH quotes on every single day without fail. So it's just a good group to be in. So if anybody's not in it and you want to be, just reach out to me.
Is there an email they could reach out to you at, Amy?
Yes. It's my name, Amy.Eveland, EVELAND @smilesofwilliamsburg.com.
Great.
I'm
We'll make
sorry,
sure we
it's
put that.
long.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Good. So some tips on training. How often do you do it? Do you have a training time? I mean, I know a lot of the answers to these questions because I've been there and I've seen what you've done. Do you take portions each week? And how do you allocate time so that you're not killing production, but you're also not slogging through with untrained team members?
Like I said, starting out when we hire people, they go through class in the first week. It does help us determine if they have any red flags, whether we want to even put them on post. So we start with that. And when you're on post, it just depends on the schedule, what you need help with. We'll pull people off post and drill with them. We actually have it going on this afternoon, pulling a treatment coordinator off post. It's not that she's bad. We just want her to strengthen dealing with barriers. So we just allot time as needed, as we see fit. If the schedule is down, we're going to pull people. We're going to do certain things with them. So mainly on the treatment coordinator side and with our doctors, helping them present treatment to patients and keeping that hard sell in and caring. So.
Fantastic. And folks, just to go back to, it's always the basics. It's the sales line basics. MGE did an analysis, or what are the 3 components of every successful MGE client? MGE has a success rate of like 97%. It's unheard of in dental consulting. But we analyzed those offices that are doing fantastic and amazing, and they just take off like rockets. What are the basic common reasons? What are the common denominators? 3 things. 1, doctor can sell. Sales line is in. Doctor can sell. Sales line is in. 2, office manager on post who knows what his or her duties are and is doing them as laid out in the MGE program, and then practice jumpstart lessons in DDS success. So doctor can sell. So that's the ABCs, that's the professional sales courses, training. And what Amy just covered with you is constant training and retraining and drilling on treatment presentation and overcoming objections. That's treatment coordinators and doctors, anybody who's presenting it. So that's point 1. Point 2, office manager on post who knows what his or her duties are and is doing them. So that's making sure you have an office manager. They're actually aware of the practice jumpstart tips and on the power program, obviously. 3rd point, very important point, morning production meetings being done to the letter as per the lesson on DDS success in the team building. That's a team building module or course, and it's on morning production meeting. And there's an issue, a 3-page write-up article on that one. So those are the 3 points. Comes down to simple basics every single time. So when you hear individuals do that, and they're training and getting oriented about that, how can we better do each of those things? So thank you, Amy. Really appreciate that. Always think with the idea that there's time in the schedule for training. And I know that Kathleen, you could talk a little bit about it. You also put scheduled time in for the videos that you now do with Dr. Rich and Dr. Vera. You use the schedule to ironclad, block out that time so that training doesn't get swallowed by production. Kathleen, would you mind sharing a couple thoughts and tips on that?
So what we do for training is at the beginning of the year, I give my team every single team training on a handout. So they know when we're doing seminars, they know what Thursdays they're expected to be here for training, and they know when we're volunteering. Everything is mapped out and it's blocked out on our schedule. So it shows in like my hygienist column, it says Brittany is training from 9 to 11. and there's a specific blockout color for training. When it comes to filming, Beth and I, we're closed on Thursday, so Beth and I set specific times for us. Same thing, we put a blackout in our schedule. That's the time that we're going to be filming, and people know not to interrupt us because then they're going to be on camera and they don't like that. So with the doctors too, I specifically block out their video training as well. I still have to go find them. They don't always come find me for their videos. But it's all set in stone, and there's enough notice where it's non-negotiable. People know when they need to be here, when they need to show up for it, and they have enough advance notice that it's all set in stone. I've already half typed up my 2025 training plan, so it's planned out far enough in advance where they know not to have doctor's appointments that day because that's when we're going to be here.
Fantastic. And this ties in with what Michael was just talking about. Is marketing is a lot of things, like Michael's drill or practical or homework that he gave you was to, kind of go through the new patient flow and see what you can improve, whether it's you got to clean something outside. You can literally, remember, this is all part of the new patient workshop. Go be a patient, go to reception, check in, go sit down, sit in the chair where a patient would sit, look up at the ceiling, because they do sometimes, look at what they're looking at. Look at the walls, look at the ceiling tiles, then fill out a form and see what that's like. And is the clipboard chipped and weird? And then go sit in the operatory, in each operatory, and look around, look what the patient sees. Go through these actions. But this training time is so important and so valuable. Now, Kathleen, I do want to ask you on this one point. You've had training put in, and you do training with the ABCs and such, and you do fun games and stuff. How do you position that with the team to get the team all collectively involved so they're not just sitting there wishing they had their phone in their hand watching Instagram and TikTok?
While we're doing team trainings, we turn it into like little games as well. So when we're watching ABC seminars, that break time, we do team lunch and we do a big game outside. Beth and I try and get extremely creative. We've tied balloons to their feet and made them chase each other around, things like that. And then we're doing like DDS success training. We will watch one video, and then before we move on to the next video, we do like pop quizzes. And if they get an answer right, we give them like a card, like a Starbucks drink on us or like Dunkin' on us. But we're constantly like checking in and making sure that they're duplicating what we're talking about. We're very big into as well. If we notice people are starting to like stare off, we will specifically talk to them. So like, hey, I noticed you were, not really 100% paying attention. Is there something you're stuck on? And we'll just like handle it in the moment. But it's something that we really actively make a game out of and make them get involved. All of our games are fun, but there's usually education tied into it. So that way they're playing Jeopardy, but they're learning about the ARC triangle, or we did Deal or No Deal recently. So it's something that you have to make fun. So we like go out of our way to come up with crazy ideas and then scale it back down.
How did you do that Jeopardy where you had, Jeopardy, and I'm like, they're playing Jeopardy, and then you had subjects of the Hubbard Management System, ARC and stuff. How did you even do that? I thought that was so clever. Just so y'all know, during a break, while the break time was happening at the ABCs, they're videoing where they're doing a Jeopardy game with the team, and you had all how'd you do that?
Beth and I found a program online where you can build your own Jeopardy. And then we sat down and we created what we wanted the topics to be. And then we stayed late after work one night and we just decided what all the questions would be. So we did one that was like Salvatore history. And then we did one that was specifically tone scale, one that was specifically ARC, one that it was all spaced out, one that was like related to like the team members. So it was something funny to get to know the team members, but we made them all specific. So that way it was still fun, but they were still learning.
That's great. We got people asking in the chat 2 questions. First, where did you get that Jeopardy game, and what site is that? If you could drop that in the chat, if you wouldn't mind. And then another one says, do you train the team the entire day on Thursday?
On Thursday, no. So we do a half day. So they come in a little bit later than our typical days would be. We spend half a day training, and then sometimes we'll then go out to lunch. We just went out to ice cream. We've done kayaking right after. So usually we'll do training in the morning, and then we'll do team building following it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Well, Kathleen and everybody else, Amy, Jen, Liliana, just really, really appreciate everybody's throwing in here. Abby, that was just awesome. And what you threw in there with your AI training, I love it all. Folks, we're at the end of it. We're even a minute over. How was today? Thumbs up, medium, or down? Okay, good. Well, Love it. Again, any other questions? We're going to keep the chat open just for a little bit more. If you want to put some more questions of what would you like covered at the next webinar. And if you like this format, or if you just want to stare at my ugly mug all afternoon, I also wouldn't mind if you tell me what times work best for you. It's hard to please everybody, but we've played around with times, try to make everybody's schedule. So you can drop that in. That concludes the webinar. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you on the next one.